Base Case 022 Samba Part 1. I'm your host, Phil. Samba's just a bossa in double time. Kind of, maybe not. It does use root and fifth, though, like I've talked about, the mainstay of bass players that like to work and make a living at this game. And it is another Latin style like bossa. The short answer of where it comes from, it has its roots in the Brazilian carnival. As a matter of fact, I'm going to use the changes from Chick Corea, Spain. It's a samba written by an American about a place that's not Brazil. Already getting confusing here. I like how Vonnegut writes in Slaughterhouse-Five, and so it goes, the confusion. But sambas, they're a Latin style, and they're fun to play, and there's bass players playing in this style, in samba style. Probably a few that have no idea of where it comes from, or, the provenance. And as a working bass player, you need to know it. There are many tunes that aren't Latin tunes or samba tunes that slip into this groove. So you want to be ready. I start thinking about, I've heard of this live recording of the Eagles doing Hotel California, and it's a live recording, and on the outro they slip into sort of a semi-samba, some disco grooves, samba-ish. So I want you to be ready. And with track one, this is just a refresher on the samba's cousin, the bossa groove. And it's almost the same groove, but the bossa's in 4/4 and the samba's in 2. So here's track number one, just a refresher from the bossa. So just a bossa, me grooving in C major, C minor, however you want to look at it. Here we go. Just nice and easy. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's right in 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Okay. If you haven't checked out episode 21 on Bossa Groove, check it out. This is going to help you a lot understanding samba. I think you should be able to play a bossa groove and know what it feels like and sounds like before attempting a samba. But be mindful. I've already kind of introduced a little music terminology, and like I have mentioned more than once, I don't know who's listening out there. I don't know what your music training is, so sometimes I worry about getting too technical. But a 4 feel, we're just counting in 4, and then a 2 feel or a cut time. That's what the samba groove is, and I'm going to count that over the samba grooves to kind of give you a feel of it. And the measures are traveling by in a 2 feel twice as fast. So here's track number 2, Samba Groove over C, and I'm going to be using the high fifth. You remember, and I broke that down in the bossa grooves using low fifth and high fifth. Here's where it really, in the samba, it really makes a difference whether you use high fifth or low fifth. So here's track 2, Samba Groove over C. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And that's every measure going by. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. Now here's track number 3, but let me give you a little bit of background into this. And when I was learning to play samba grooves and Latin grooves, I took lessons with musicians, bass players that were very ensconced and had studied Latin styles and Afro-Cuban styles. So they were saying, hey, you can't do that, or hey, you got to accent this. Now track 3, same thing. And I'm going to be grooving a samba groove over C, but I'm going to be using this low fifth, just like I talked about in the bossa grooves. But this time it's going to approximate the sound of the percussion surdo. And that's a big drum. You've probably seen this percussion instrument played before. It looks like a big tom, but it's strapped to the player. And they play it with a mallet-type instrument. And they palm the head, and then they take it off. And it gets this high-low sound. This surdo gets this high-low sound, much like the sound that we're trying to get when we play high-low. So here's track number 3. But this time I'm going to be grooving in C, more of a surdo style, root, low fifth. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, bing, ba boom, ba bang, ba boom, ba bang, ba boom. And the surdo is going to go boom, 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 bing, boom, 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 bing. So you're approximating that sound. That's what's going to make it real tight and authentic sounding when you're playing with authentic Brazilian musicians who will correct you sometimes. Okay? Now, simple enough. I mean, the style is just roots and fifths, but it's getting that feel and then being able to read changes at that tempo. Now, for this last track, I'm going to put this all into context. I'm going to play over the changes of Chick Corea's Spain. And here's 3 choruses of Samba groove. I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to play some high fifths and low fifths, what really fits on the instrument for me. And I'm playing it in the same key as the recording, so check that out, and I'll talk about it after this. So here is Samba groove over the changes of Chick Corea Spain with backing track. 1, 2, 2, 2, 1, 2. Chord change. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. Next chorus. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Nice tight groove. Next chorus. High, low, bing, bong. Thinking about that time. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Here we go. And just like that, just root and fifth over the changes. I'm using the iReal Pro app. I was checking out their website, and they said mention them, and they'll be very happy to accommodate. What's important, though, and I think it's important when we're doing anything. I was talking to one of my students last week, and I was telling him, "Hey, great, we were playing through some stuff," and I said, "But you got to listen to the recordings. Like, for instance, I'm mentioning Chick Corea Spain, and that's from the recording from the album Light as a Feather, I think early 70s. Stan Clark's the bass player on there, and there's a lot to learn about the way he's grooving over this. And this is in the same key as the record, and it's during the solo changes. Now, this tune, Spain, is a little bit more intricate. I mean, I'm just playing the solo changes. There's an intro, and then there's a couple of other things happening before it gets into these solo changes. But these are the solo changes that go into that samba groove. And check it out, and I'll talk to you soon.